Hey everybody, we're back. This is Butterfly Stitchery Part 2. So if you don't have something that looks like this right now, you probably missed Part 1. You need to go find that video and get caught up. So if you do have this, then we're going to go ahead and do the second color of stitching. So find a different color to do for your stitching. If you have your tapestry needle or another needle, that'll work. Awesome. If you don't, you can do the tape needle thing. Just make sure those holes are poked wider and you can probably get through it. But the needle is definitely the way to go if you can find one. So what we're going to do here is pretty much the same thing as we did last time, except this time we're going to start on the second hole. Okay, so I need to look. I started here last time and went this way. So this time I'm going to start here, okay, and then I'm going to go around the other way. So you'll see that this will work. If you're doing it wrong, your lines and colors are going to be next to each other instead of connecting the dots, okay. So pull that through all the way, okay, leave a little bit in the middle, and then you'll know you're doing this right because the other color is going to connect the spaces, okay? So it's going to be going gray and red and gray and red and gray and red, okay? If the red is lining up right with the gray, you're not doing it right. You need to back up and make sure that you're connecting the lines together, okay? So just do that stitching just like you did last time until you get all the way around to the other side and you've done 2 running stitches that go all the way around and outline the contour line of your butterfly. All right, so let me finish up. We'll be back in a second. All right, so I'm almost done. I've just got the last couple of stitches to do here. So we'll just finish, we'll just finish that part up here. And then we'll tie this off on the back, okay? So remember, we're gonna pull that all through there. So now I've stitched all the way around the contour. You can see where it came away from the shape of the butterfly a little bit. If I had a hole poked right there, I could stick a little closer to the contour line. That sometimes happens in the middle, but that's usually not too big a deal because we're going to cover that up with the middle of the butterfly anyway, with the body of the butterfly. So let's turn this over to the back one more time, and then let's take out our scissors and we'll cut through that line one more time, and then we will tie those off so they don't come undone. Okay, over, under, and pull, just like you'd start tying your shoes. Over, under, and pull. All right, cool. So we've got that tied together, and you see we've got the outline or the contour line of the butterfly showing on the back of our paper too. Okay, so we have this on the front. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some detail to the butterfly so we have some decoration, and we'll do that trying to keep everything as symmetrical as possible. So we'll talk about symmetry. Okay, so find some different colored paper and we're just going to cut out a couple of shapes. In order to keep everything symmetrical, we're going to cut out 2 shapes that are exactly the same. So I'm going to fold my paper in half, and then whatever shape I cut out, I've got 2 layers of paper there, so I'm going to end up with 2 shapes that are the same. Okay, so I'll cut out that shape, and then if I open those 2 shapes up, then I'll have 2 shapes that are the same. And remember, symmetry is not just that it's like the same on both sides, but that they're mirror images of each other. So this curve is in the middle, and this little indentation that goes in is on the outside of the butterfly wing. So we're going to do that, and then you can just do that same idea for a few shapes, okay? You can do as many shapes as you want, really, but you get the idea. You can also come up with your color scheme. If you want to think about what colors you want to use, you can use a whole bunch of colors, but usually that gets kind of busy, so you might want to limit yourself to like 3 or 4 colors, and that usually, I think, ends up looking a little bit better. So a lot of times, since you're doing a butterfly design, which is a natural creature, you're going to want to stick with what we call organic shapes, which have a lot of curves to them, okay? Not a whole lot of straight lines. Of course, if you don't like that idea, then maybe you could add some geometric shapes to your butterfly too. So this is art after all, so we can do things kind of the way we want to. It doesn't have to be exactly like a real butterfly. So there's no real reason why we couldn't take this butterfly that has this very organic shape to its wings and put some geometric shapes in there, like a triangle or a square or a rectangle or something like that. So we've got those shapes there. And then the other cool thing you can do is make layers for your shapes. So take another piece of paper and cut out another shape and layer those shapes on top of the shapes you already have. Okay, so we'll open that up there, and then we'll place that in there, and then you've got a layered effect where you have multi-layered shapes. So anytime you cut out a shape, just make sure you're cutting out of 2 layers of paper at the same time, and you'll get 2 shapes that are exactly the same. And then you can work to get those glued down as evenly as possible so everything is symmetrical. So let me glue down a few of these and we'll get started with that. Just a tiny dot of glue is all you really want, okay? So use a little bit of glue. It's a really small piece of paper, so it's pretty lightweight, so you don't need a ton of glue to get it to stick down, okay? Then you won't waste it. It won't squish out everywhere and make your paper look kind of yucky. So let's work on this. Let's get everything glued down, and then we'll talk about doing the middle of the butterfly next. Okay, so we've got all those shapes glued down now, and you know, if you're having trouble thinking of patterns and things, you could take a moment and just Google butterfly wings and just look at some pictures and get some inspiration from the actual natural butterfly wings. I bet you'll find there's some pretty cool designs out there. So let's finish up. We're going to add a body to this butterfly, and what we're going to do is take a darker piece of paper. You can use any color you want. I'm going to use black for this one. It's about 2 inches by 6 inches or so, and in order to make it look a little bit more natural, we're actually going to tear the edges of the paper, make it kind of fuzzy looking. So put your thumbs together and just pull back with one hand while the other one stays in place. And then you're just going to tear a little bit at a time so you get this rough edge to your paper. And then you can flip it around and go the other way too. Okay, you might just practice this a couple of times before you actually go to the final one, because sometimes it's a little tricky for people to get the hang of making just little tears like this. Okay, but don't forget to tear across the top a little bit too, and you can make it kind of rounded if you want to make the head of the butterfly. It's a little tricky, but it's okay. If you want to make a a little bit of a separation between the shape of the head and the rest of the butterfly's body, you can just take a little bite out of it by tearing through that part there in a little shape. And then you may want to narrow up the end of the butterfly and make it kind of pointy at the end. That'll be cool. So that works okay. Then we can add that to our butterfly shape. So, and then it kind of covers up those problem areas that we talked about before. So we'll put a little glue on the back of this, and we'll glue that onto the middle of our butterfly. Okay, this may not be perfectly symmetrical, but that's okay. Our butterfly doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. We're just going to kind of get close to that. All right, cool. So we're almost done here. The only other thing that we might want to do is put some antennae on our butterfly. So you can fold a piece of paper in half, and then you can cut a curving or spiral shape if you want to for the antennae. Okay, if you cut around like this and then go back to the middle, you can get a little hook shape, kind of like that. Just take some scrap paper and try it out a few times and see if you can come up with something cool. Okay, those are pretty huge, but I kind of like them. I think they look pretty cool. You can add multiple colors on there, so if you wanted to cut some other pieces, just try to keep it mostly symmetrical and you'll have the right idea. So we'll glue those down. Of course, if you want to, you can get your crayons or your markers out and add color to the background of the butterfly. If you don't like the white, but you might not have white, you may have used a different color of paper for your background. Or if you use the cereal box idea and you actually use the box that had the cereal on it, then, or had the cereal box design on it, it may have plenty of color already. So there we go. There's our butterfly design. Probably want to sign your name at the end of your artwork, okay, when you're all finished up. We've got our running stitch, we've got our symmetrical shapes, we practiced our tearing and our symmetry cut, so we learned quite a bit. Alright, hope you guys had fun. See you next time for another video. Bye bye.